no secret right now that the world is really, really tough, right? We're getting a lot of news and media around all of things that are happening in the world and in our country. And it feels like a lot, right? It feels like every single piece of information that you get just keeps kind of feeling as if you're being just overwhelmed and just covered with bad, hate, insert whatever negative noun or verb that you want, right? But there's just this feeling of overwhelm and almost like a suffocating feeling. And then so our natural response as a human being is to like, okay, we need to do something about it. We need to actively fight against something to change things, right? Because this cannot happen anymore. This feeling of overwhelm and heaviness cannot happen anymore, right? Some choose this path and others just kind of sink in it, right? But the people that are fired up to fight something, apart from them and outside of them, and to funnel their energy towards something, it just feels like a never-ending thing where we're screaming at the other side and we're saying all these things like, hey, stop. But then it's funny because on the other side, they're saying the same thing, but for different reasons, right? That there's these two sides that even exist that are just kind of constantly pushing back. When really, when you think about it, you can't push without having something push back. So if you're creating the force to push and it's being pushed back, it's just going to perpetuate this constant tension and struggle. So it makes me think these days, where I'm listening to stories and I'm like, oh man, I want to do something. I want to, put my energy towards something good and productive. And also because I feel like I need to. But I've been doing a lot of talking to my friends, to just kind of reflecting on things and what feels good and listening to my body, right? And I feel like I'm at a point right now where, yeah, maybe I don't want to keep perpetuating this tension, right? Of this kind of divisiveness and conflict, right? And it's not that I'm want to be passive about it, but it's really about being more intentional, right? I am a human being that has limits, and I want to honor those limits. So what can I do, right, to just make a good impact in my life, but also just to care for myself in all of this? Because, what's the point of fighting, right? I'm not saying fight, but like, what's the point of pushing something forward if, you don't take care of yourself first? And so I was thinking about, what does that work look like? What does that action, that intentional action look like? Um, and I couldn't help but think about just returning to me. Like, what better response, right? Like, for us to continue pushing and fighting, right, puts us at risk of becoming the monster that we are fighting, right? And so how do we not perpetuate this cycle of just creating more monsters, right? And I was like, oh, like, let's return to our humanity, right? I think that's what we can do. And it's also a small action, but a really powerful one, because what would the world look like if there was like super rounded, super well-rounded, grounded, stable, calm people making decisions about things, right? It would be a different world completely. And so what does returning to our humanity look like? I mean, it's just honestly like could be basic as like creating space for yourself, like taking a step away from social media, taking a step away from media for a second, just to be able to create space to be able to synthesize your own thoughts, your own organic thoughts. Like, we're pummeled with stuff every day, voices, stories, words, images. So like just being able to like create a little mental vacuum, that makes all the difference. Another thing is going and touching grass. I mean, people talk about it, and it has scientific backed data to show the effects of grounding. So you might poo-poo it, but honestly, go out in nature. be forest bathed, be looking at the natural world where we have come from and we will go to as well someday, right? And it's really just about coming back to this, like what activates you, you know? And I think the best people, the best leaders to lead the way with returning to our humanity is creatives, right? I often talk about the value of creatives and for creatives to understand their power and value. And this isn't another push in that direction for like entrepreneurship, but just in the sense that creatives naturally want to listen to their like impulses to create, to draw, to make something, to sing, to have something move through their body. I mean, how natural and supernatural is that, you know? Something that is an act that comes from within and just is able to exude outward. That is like a self-healing act, and it's super powerful. And so I think creatives need to really remember that they do that so well. And so if they can keep doing that, if they can be creative and um, continue in that way, like what a powerful impact that would be on their communities. People say that, you know, creativity is really life. That is what life is. Um, and that sometimes the biggest resistance, the active resistance that you can do is to create. So if you want to take it to the man or whatever your motivation is, like start creating from an authentic, grounded place and see what happens and shifts in your life. So creatives, I just want to take time to say, hey, I see you. I feel what you're feeling right now because I'm a little softy empath who is also creative, trying to figure out what I'm doing in this like time of chaos. Let it be known that every season has an end, right? It might be super difficult now. It'll end eventually. Not sure how, but it's also like, what can we control? We can control this, right? And so what is the best way to be able to replenish our energy, replenish our reserves so that we can actually enjoy life, right? Because there's still goodness just as much as there is terrible, evil, or whatever label you want to say, darkness. There's light, right? Because you can't have one without the other. So how do you illuminate that for yourself? Return to your humanity, draw on your creativity, be authentic, be compassionate, be loving, be yourself, right? And try to funnel all of that towards you first and see what changes and shifts. So hopefully y'all are doing okay, you're surviving, and I'll see you on the flip side.